that year, I decided that I was going to do 300, I think. If I can do 100 in 3 months, I can do 300. One of the reasons why I wrote a book is because I think books can change lives. The flexibility of having a career in real estate is massive. Right. People don't understand that you pretty much work the hours you want to work. So being a mother of 3, and that was my priority, I'd drop the kids at school and then I would go and be a real estate agent through the day, and then I'd go back and pick them up again at 3 o'clock.
Thank you, Sandra, for doing this. I really appreciate it. Your first podcast?
I think it might be. I did one last year after the launch of the book.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did. It's out there somewhere.
Really? Who was it that interviewed you there?
It was an American podcast, and it was set up by the company who I worked with when I was writing the book.
When you did the book. Okay. So just for the audience, so this, and let me know, I'll just give a quick brief on my understanding of Sandra Forrester, and you can just correct it or whatever. But so you are the branch manager of the city branch, which has how many agents would you have there?
We've got about 30.
30 agents, and you've got a big property management department.
Yes.
You've got lots of people. How many people working in your property management team? 10. And you've got a management department, and that's in the very, very centre of the CBD of Auckland in New Zealand. And you've been doing that for
10 years.
10 years at City, and then prior to that you were branch manager at Milford Branch.
Correct, for 2 years.
Which is a suburb on the north shore of Auckland for 2 years. Prior to that you were a real estate agent.
Yes.
For how many years?
8 years.
8 years.
8 years, maybe longer. 8 years, I think it was 8 years.
So you're doing 20 years in the company now?
20 years, last year. So I'm in my 21st year now.
Right. I'm 20 years this year.
Yeah,
funny.
Snap.
So,
welcome to the 20-year club.
Part of the 20 years, still, yeah. So basically, you've got quite an interesting story. So I'm calling this series Capturing Energy. So what I do is I bring people in here that have got energy. The first person I had was a 28-year-old agent, Ben, who you know.
I do.
And it's funny when you make a list of people, when you think about capturing energy, you start writing down names from all walks of life, and your name is absolutely in there, and you wouldn't be surprised to hear that. And when I asked you to come in here, I thought, wow, Sandra would be great because you've got quite a story, which is really, well, you've written a book about it.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah. So, and that's, I just thought, perfect. And so I rang you about a week ago because I actually had the slot for someone else who couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And you just went, yep.
Yeah.
Didn't even hesitate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why was that?
Look, one of the things that for me, if somebody comes along and asks you to do something, or you haven't asked me for help, but if somebody comes and asks me for help, I will always do it if I can, every single time. Because I know that when I was going through a transition in my career, I had to go and ask other people for help, and they all said yes.
Wow.
So I'm never going to say no to anyone who come and asks me to contribute or to give my opinion or to do a podcast or to come and review their business. Or I'll never say no.
Do you think that's common?
No.
Right.
No, I don't think it's common. I think most people are too busy in their life and in their work to be looking to see how they can help other people. But for me, it was an easy yes.
Yeah.
I really respect what you do, and I've got a lot of time for, you and your business.
Yeah.
And so I thought, it's a great opportunity to help you out with a podcast that is just starting out.
Yeah.
But also, given it's an opportunity for me to share my story. Absolutely. I just want to say I was sick a couple of weeks ago, so my voice is still a bit croaky from that. So sorry for that.
Yeah. I'm a little bit wheezy as well. We're just getting over winter in Auckland, and I don't know, whenever it seems that, Crowded House Kiwi band did this song 4 Seasons in One Day, which is very Auckland, right?
Very Auckland.
And when we move from winter and it starts to get a little bit warmer into summer, which is we're in spring now, everyone gets sick. It's
change of the season time.
Apologies all around. Okay. So great. So today I thought I'd just go through just different phases of your life. I actually did read your book cover to cover a couple of nights ago. Really enjoyed it, and it's you just gobble it up, which is great. We'll get to there.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't, if you're okay, I'd like to just have a little bit of a chat about Sandra Forrester before you got into real estate. Sandra Forrester then as an agent in real estate, Sandra Forrester then becoming a branch manager and a leader, and then what's next sort of thing, if that's cool. So we'll start off at the beginning. So Sandra Forrester pre-real estate, what does that look like? What was that story?
Well, I'm a Westie. So for anyone who doesn't know what that means, I'm a born and bred Aucklander who grew up in the West. So I grew up in Te Atatu, went to, at the time, was the biggest high school in New Zealand.
Wow.
Because the whole West area was developed in the 60s and 70s. And so there's a lot of young families that had moved in, having kids. So the schools were just bulging with kids. So I went to Rutherford High School. It was a very, very big school. It was so big that we had to have split lunch hours, because there were the infrastructure of the school couldn't actually cope with the number of kids in the school all being out at the same time at lunchtime. So they split the lunch hours. I mean, for example, you go to the tug shop before they split lunch hours, and it would be 20 deep and 6 wide at the tuck shop, waiting, to get a sandwich or a pie or whatever it was you were waiting for. Bathrooms, queuing up to go to the bathrooms. So it was a mega-sized school. And living in Te Atatu and growing up in Te Atatu, sometimes it was brutal, I mean, it was the West. It was really the Wild West. Yeah, so I grew up having to learn how to look out for myself, how to defend myself for sure.
Really?
Yeah,
physically?
100%. Sometimes,
really? Wow.
So there's this, I don't know if most people, well, no one will really know this unless you're a Westie. The high school I went to was in Te Atatu North and I lived in Te Atatu South.
Yep.
And the motorway intersected the two. And underneath the motorway, they built a tunnel so that the kids could go through the tunnel to get from Te Atatu North to Te Atatu South without having to run across the motorway. Well, going through that tunnel after school was like running the gauntlet, because the bullies and the problematic kids were always in the tunnel picking fights, and it was dangerous, right? It was, sometimes it would have been probably less dangerous running across the motorway than going in the tunnel. So, just those sorts of things that you had to learn how to deal with.
I'm just listening to you talk about it, but you do it with a smile, and it's easy to laugh now, but there's a bit of pride in there about it, though. Am I picking that up?
Look, and people do say this, I think your sort of younger years, your teenage years and your youth, it does define you in some sort of way. And anyone who knows me knows that I have got a lot of resilience and I've got also a lot of bravery. I'm not afraid to take on challenges. And that is something that has shown up in my life in lots of ways in various different times in my life. So resilience, definitely, I've learned that has been a fundamentally key personality trait of me.
If I say the words politically correct, I don't think of Sandra Forrester.
Definitely not.
And that's so refreshing, right? But do you think that growing up out in the West has sort of helped to shape that?
It's part of it. But I think I'm, one of the few women in leadership roles in this company. And sometimes I feel like I have to make a stand on behalf of, other women and sometimes even, men who may be afraid to speak out. I've never been afraid to say what I think.
Right.
Never.
I'm trying to picture Sandra Forrester, the schoolgirl, not afraid to stand up. And can you think of anything growing up in Te Atatu where you were put in a position where you did have to actually stand up for yourself?
I mean, I was going out with the captain of the first 15. And,
Rugby, right?
Yeah. I mean, he was, heartthrob of the school, captain of the first 15, couldn't do anything wrong. And, I used to get a lot of shit. So you would think the opposite, right? But it doesn't work that way. But in lots of cases, in lots of cases, I've had other things that I've had to deal with in my life that has also built resilience and confidence in myself. It is not something that is just intrinsically built inside of me. I've learnt the skill.
Right. Okay.
And the skills that I think are teachable and learnable are the things like resilience, and the things like confidence. People think, oh, you're a confident person. You must have been born with it. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's really encouraging to hear. I imagine people listening to this would go, great, I want to know more.
Yeah.
Tell me, so you grew up in that environment, Te Atatu. Then when you left school, where did you go there?
So I worked for Nestle New Zealand for quite some years, and
Nestle, okay, yeah.
I started there as a sales rep and worked my way into a management role. Was the branch manager for the Auckland area, working on a number of different categories. And
so distribution of chocolate or of product?
Yeah. So Nestle did loads and loads of different products, and we were what we call a fast-moving consumer good, FMCG industry. So I was working with all the major clients and, dealing with them on content and what can we get into the supermarkets, what can't we have in the supermarkets. So
straight out of school to working for Nestle?
No, I went and worked for a rental car company for a few years.
Oh, really?
And then went to Nestle, yeah.
Okay, what did you do for the rental car company?
I was a rental car chick.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is a rental car chick there?
Metropolitan Rentals on Dominion Road.
Really?
Yeah.
Metropolitan, still there?
Still there.
It's still there. Is that right?
Absolutely still there.
You're part
worked
of that
there
history.
for a couple of years. Yeah. And then went to Nestle. So, it was pretty standard.
So Metropolitan Rentals, Nestle, and like family life at that point?
So I got married in my late 20s, started having kids, and just, by the time I'd had my third kid, it was just too hard trying to juggle work. So I left Nestle and was a full-time mum.
And what sort of age were you there at the third kid?
I was in my mid-30s.
Right. Okay, wow.
Yep.
Oh,
so 3 kids,
three
kids, and trying to work. I wasn't working full time at Nestle then. I was doing some part time work for them, but it just became too much. So I decided to leave
and get into real estate.
No, I had a gap then.
Right.
I didn't work for a few years.
5 years or
maybe
roughly?
5 years.
Yeah, something like that.
5 years.
So roughly at about 40, then your kids have got a little bit of age on them, and then you're
all at school.
They're all at school. Your husband, your partner's working.
Yep.
And then what sort of drew you towards the real estate game?
It was really interesting because my husband's builder. So we used to buy and sell houses a lot and do them up. Buy a house, do it up, live in it, do it up. It was always
flick it on,
walls coming down, and and painting. So do it up and then flick it on.
And would you use a real estate agent to sell it? You would.
So we met Vern Hines. From Barfoot Thompson.
Right.
And Vern was our real estate agent. And whenever we had a house ready to sell, we'd ring up Vern. Sometimes Vern was away, so we'd use Mike Henderson. But it was usually Vern, and he would come round and, sign us up, and we'd sell the house and move to the next one. So we did that about 7 or 8 times.
I'm just going to ask you about Vern. What was it? And I want to come back to the building in a minute. But what was it? Why did you keep going back to Vern?
Because I thought he was great agent, bit of fun, had great energy, and he seemed to know what he was doing. And he was literally in the branch just around the corner because we lived in Mount Albert, and he was operating at that time from the Mount Albert office.
Is it Vern's fault that you got into real estate?
When I was watching what Vern was doing and how he was marketing the property, and because we were always going to open homes on the weekend because we were always looking for the next project, I was like, you know what, eventually after sort of 3 or 4 years, I was like, you know what, I could do this.
Right.
I could absolutely do it. And I remember talking to him and also talking to Murray Jane, and who was at Mount Albert office at the same time, because everyone lived in Mount Albert at that stage. And they said, look, you should go and do your certificate and come into real estate. I think you'd enjoy it.
So you're a mum around about the 40 age, about 40?
Yeah, late 30s, early 40s, yeah.
So that's really quite encouraging, isn't it? So you've grown up at West Auckland, you've had a few jobs, you've had 3 kids, boy, girl.
2 girls and a boy.
2 girls and a boy. And what order are they in?
Girl, boy, girl.
Girl, boy, girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 40, you're launching into what would become a very, very successful career.
It does, but it had its moments.
Yeah.
So when I first came into real estate, I really only treated it like a part-time job. because
right, okay,
I had three kids, right? So it was like, you know what? I can do this. I can do this through the day. The kids are at school. I can make sure that the flexibility of having a career in real estate is massive. Right. People don't understand that you pretty much work the hours you want to work. And that was something that Ben said. And he said that he can pick and choose the hours that he works.
Yeah.
And sometimes he's working till 11 o'clock at night, and sometimes he goes for a run during the day. And that is so true. You can pick and choose the hours that you work. So being a mother of 3, and that was my priority, I'd drop the kids at school and then I would go and be a real estate agent through the day, and then I'd go back and pick them up again at 3 o'clock. And it was the perfect blend of being able to have something that I was slowly building and still be able to have all the school holidays off and be able to, pick them up from school and go and do school activities. And then if I had to go and do open homes on the weekend, my husband was there to look after the kids.
So you obviously weren't relying 100% on, the family wasn't relying on that income at that point, because your husband was a builder, so there was an income there.
Correct.
Right, okay.
At that time, yep.
Yeah, and do you think these days, I mean, that was 20 odd years ago, roughly?
That was about, 20 years ago. Yeah.
Roughly.
17 years ago.
Yeah. So do you think, is real estate still accommodating to mums like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one of the things I really now want to try and get people to understand, especially women, is that this industry is so flexible. There is so much, flexibility around them being able to come in and take the skills that they have used and learnt in previous jobs and careers and bring those skills to real estate. And it's really inspiring to see young people coming into the industry. I think 25 is kind of, I've always said it, 25 is kind of the youngest. You need some life experience before you come into real estate.
Yeah.
That's my feeling on it, unless you're coming into property management. Management, you can probably come in a little bit younger, but around the 25 and upwards age, to come into real estate and bring those skills and what you've been doing in the past and bring those in. Now, I'm not advocating for people to come in and treat it like a part-time job. It is a full-time job, and I did work the hours. I just chose the hours that I worked, a bit like Ben.
Tell me about, and I know this is in your book, but tell me about the structure of your days when you were doing that.
I started at Mount Albert office, and then I moved to Mount Eden. And because I had these 3 kids, I would arrive at the office at 8:30 in the morning, because I had to drop 3 kids at 3 different schools. And so that meant having to be up and out of the house. And if I'm dropping a kid at Mount Eden, where one of them went to school, I might as well get to the office, right? So I was at the office at 8:30, probably the first agent in the door. And then I would have a very clear structure of what my day included. And that would be things like preparing. I'm a big advocate for prospecting. Huge. Like, prospecting was the absolute lifeblood of my business. 80% of my business came from my previous clients, friends, family, and referrals.
Right.
So I understood the importance of prospecting. So I would get into the office by 8:30, say hello to everyone, make a coffee, and then I would start organising, who am I going to be calling today? So between 9 and 10 o'clock, I would make a list of 20 people that I was going to be calling, and at 10 o'clock I would start.
So that list, give us some examples. Let's say you didn't have any listings, or you were new in the game. Well, who would be on that list? Anyone that I knew. Right. Friend, family, previous client, anyone. So, after a few years, you do start to get a few people on your database. Of course, but at the beginning, if you don't, then it's anyone. And what would you say to those people?
I say, hi, I'm just touching base with you. I know you've probably only got a couple of minutes. I would always look to see where they lived. Lots of people lived in Mount Albert. I had a huge network of people because, 3 kids, schools, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I would say, look, I'm just ringing to let you know, did you know that down the road from you, a house has just come on the market? Same street or the next street, whatever it was. Yeah, I saw the sign go up. Yeah, well, look, if you want me to, I'll let you know what it sells for. They go, fantastic. Yeah, that'd be great.
End of focal. Right.
Totally. That's it.
Yeah, wow, okay.
So, and if they weren't on my database, I'd say, look, I send out a monthly newsletter. Are you okay if I put you on it? They go, yeah, of course. Get their email address, bang, that's it. 3 minutes. Sometimes I'd be driving past a house of a friend or somebody I'd sold the property for. They painted it, or they put up a fence, or they'd planted the garden. They'd go on my list, ring those people next week. And I'd ring them up and say, I was driving past your house and I saw you put up a spectacular fence. I love it. They go, oh my God, I know, it's so great,
Wow.
And so, you're just giving back to them a little bit of information. A lot of the time, share something with them that is perhaps interesting to them, give them a compliment about something that might be going on at their property, and it's just really a touch base thing.
So I guess, when I started 20 years ago, there used to be the white pages. I knew that there were some agents that just literally used to ring up, cold call.
Yeah.
These days, of course, that doesn't exist.
Because no one has a landline anymore.
Yeah, everyone's got a mobile. So, I guess how do you build, or how do people build a database these days?
Yeah, well, look, I operate in an environment where we do a lot of apartment sales.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. But if I go back to what we were doing in the suburban market, I advocate for door knocking. But when I have a listing, and if I didn't have a listing, I would go and do the 10-10-20 for an agent who had a listing in an area that wasn't actually my listing.
So what's a 10-10-20?
10 houses that way, 10 houses that way.
Knocking on each of those doors?
Knocking on the door. Hi, did you know that this property has just come to the market?
Even if it wasn't your listing?
Even if it wasn't my listing.
Really?
And you know what else I used to do?
No one's listening. Go on.
No one's listening. I would set up my own open home for a property that wasn't my listing.
But it's on the market
for
with someone
my
else.
clients to come through and have a look at it.
Wow.
So I would ring the vendor and say, because you
so
can
it's with Barfoot Thompson,
with Barfoot
right?
and Thompson,
Okay, got
I'd
it.
say, look, you've got an open home today between 2 and 2:30. I've got some clients of my own who I would like to bring through at 3 o'clock. Would that be okay with you? How many vendors are going to say no? Right? So I would bring people and say, I'm going to be running an open home at this property at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. Would you like to come through and have a look at it? Oh, yeah, I saw that one. Oh, I see it's open at 2 o'clock. I said, yes, that's the listing agent, and you're more than welcome to go through that if you want to, but I will be there at 3 o'clock.
Okay, so these are your buyers. You've got they're your contacts. Yeah,
Yep.
they're your contacts.
Yep.
And no one, in this industry, we say no one owns a buyer, right?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
Okay,
I would run my own
clever.
open homes on other people's listings.
Did other listing agents, were they okay with that?
No, not really.
Okay.
Don't care.
But you're not breaking any rules.
I'm not breaking
the
any
permission
rules.
of,
I've got the permission of the vendor. I've got my own I mean, sometimes only 2 or 3 people would turn up, right? I'm not saying it was a flood of people. It's not 25 groups coming through. But I was providing a service for the people who I was working with.
Yeah.
And saying, look, I know that you're looking for something like this. I'm going to be there at 3 o'clock till 3:30. Just come on through and have a look at it.
Yeah, love it.
And if people were in the area, living in the area, because I just did Mount Albert and Sandringham, right, and a bit in Mount Eden, I knew so many people living there. I'd say, look, I'm going to be there if you want to come through and have it, just having a look. Yeah, okay, I'll come through and have a look.
You know what? Just listening to you for the last 5 minutes, you're spot on for capturing energy. You're buzzing. You're absolutely buzzing about it. Do you miss those days?
I totally miss it.
Do you really?
I have always said to anyone who asks me, what will you do after? I've always said, I will go back to selling.
Really?
It will not be my sole focus.
Right.
Because I have other things that I want to do, but I will definitely go back to selling. And people go, you are crazy.
Wow.
I'm like, no.
Right.
I still miss it.
Wow.
What is it
about? What do you miss about
it? I miss dealing with vendors. I miss the skill set of, pitching for listings and, managing listings. I miss the whole thing.
The cut and thrust, the negotiation.
I miss the whole thing.
Wow.
I remember not long after I started in real estate when I made my first sale, because, I had to engage the kids in this process, because sometimes the kids used to have to come with me if I was showing a property and say, sit in the car, do not get out of the car.
Right.
Park it in the driveway, of course. I'm not leaving them on the road.
Yeah.
And if you stay in the car, and you don't make a fuss, when we're finished, we'll go and get a nice block.
Oh, wow. So what do you see these days with people that are doing open homes? Has anything changed as far as that's concerned?
That's what I love. It's still the same. It's still the face-to-face. It's the phone-to-phone. It's still the same stuff. Yes, technology has brought so much in the ability to be able to learn about the job and skill set, but I don't believe it has taken the place, and it will not take the place of somebody who is sitting across from you talking about your biggest asset and how the best method of sale is, what the best method of sale would be to sell your property, how this person here is going to be able to walk you through the process and give you a roadmap of how we're going to get from here to here. And that, I'm always going to be on your side. There's no IT product or AI product that can do that. That is a face-to-face, talk-to-talk, person-to-person thing. It's your biggest asset.
Yeah. But Sandra, it didn't always go smoothly for you, did it?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, we've changed. We've changed face. Tell us what happened there, because you joined real estate. Were you making money from the word go?
Not really. I mean, I was okay. Right. I was okay. I would say I was a middle of the pack performer. And don't forget, it's no excuse, but I was a busy person.
You were. Three kids, right?
Busy, three kids on the PTFA, doing all this stuff. So real estate was really, in the first 3 or 4 years, it really was me learning the skills. And then I started to get a little bit more into it because the kids were a bit older. I think the youngest at the time was like 11 or 12 by this stage. So I wasn't actually having to be there all the time on the weekends.
So in your first couple of years, were you earning money in real estate?
Yes.
You were. You were doing okay.
I was doing okay.
Yeah, and it was worth your while.
Yeah,
supplementing your husband's
income.
income.
Just an average performer.
Right.
I was probably doing maybe, I don't know, $40,000 New Zealand. Which
personal income.
Yeah.
Right, income. Which is 20 years ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
right, yeah.
Which is not, it's great little supplement.
Yeah, right.
Supplement to our income. And I was pretty happy.
Yeah.
And I started to, and then I moved to Mount Eden branch and I, started to earn a bit more money because my average sale price started to go up. I was doing a bit more in the Mount Eden area. So I was selling higher value properties. So I was earning a bit more and my skill set was getting a bit better and my database was getting bigger. So I was sort of getting a bit more business and things were starting to go quite well. I moved up to earning probably about $60,000 or $70,000.
How many years are we in roughly in your career at this point?
We would probably be, I would say, 5
years
6 years.
Okay, you've been earning an okay supplementary income.
Yeah.
Yep, it's going up a little bit.
It's
Things
going
are looking
up a
good.
bit. I'm feeling like this is great. We can afford. I think we took the kids to the Gold Coast.
Wow, the GC.
We actually got on a plane and took them overseas.
You couldn't have lived on that on their income though for that first 5 years if your husband. No, right.
So this supplementary income was really becoming quite valuable. Also because when you've been earning $60,000 or $70,000 a year, you start to become used to having that extra income.
Yeah.
And then, of course, everything stopped.
Okay.
In 2008, I had the worst year. I did not sell a single thing. And
the whole year.
I was working really hard and nothing was sticking. Absolutely nothing was sticking.
Why? What changed?
I just had no idea. I mean, the GFC was beginning, right? It hadn't hit, but it was beginning. I think November 2008 was the weekend that we say the doors slammed and the market just went boom. But I was having a terrible year leading up to that. So, and I had no clue what had happened. I was still doing the work. I was still showing up. I was still doing the prospecting.
Yeah.
I was listing houses, but they weren't selling. I was working buyers, but none of the buyer matches were working. We'd make offers and they wouldn't get it. And it was just this cascade of, misses and mistakes. And, I really, towards the end of the year, I really started to lose my confidence.
Right.
And I just was like, you know what, I have no idea what's happened. We had no income from me coming in all that year. And things were starting to get really, really tough financially.
Your husband's income as well was starting to suffer, right?
Yeah, and so we had to take out an overdraft. So most kids these days don't even know what an overdraft is, but, it's another loan from the bank when you've already got a loan from the bank for the mortgage.
Yeah.
And you pay high interest on it. So I had to take out an overdraft. By the end of the year, that was at $40,000. So that's a lot of money. And I was really starting to panic.
So you're a mum. How old are your kids at this stage?
That was 2008. So I would say they're sort of 11, 13, 15, 16, 17.
Three teenage kids?
Three teenagers. Yeah.
And your husband's income started to falter as well. Your income's zero, and you need to take out $40,000. And you're in an
overdraft.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so I really felt like, I've just lost my mojo. I might have to give up real estate. I can't afford to.
Can you think of any other reason? Sorry, can you think of any other reason other than the market as to why that happened?
Yeah, I know now.
Right.
I didn't know then, but I know now what was going on.
Yeah.
I had got into this very typical cycle of what happens to real estate agents. Something bad happens.
Yeah.
And then you go, here we go. Typical real estate. This, income is like this. It's up and then it's down. I get a listing and then I don't have a listing for 3 months. And so this inconsistency of income thing, that's a big one.
Yeah. Had you experienced that before though?
No, I hadn't.
Okay.
I hadn't. I had been pretty consistent over.
So this is new.
So this was all totally new to me. I had never had this experience in real estate. And I knew that other people had experienced it. There's some really big limiting beliefs about real estate. Number one, that real estate is hard. It's not. Okay. It's not hard. But if you think it's hard, abracadabra, then it will be.
Yep.
Real estate is, you're up and down in your earnings. Well, if you think that, then that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to have good month, bad month, good month, bad month. And so I had a lot of limiting beliefs, which I know now what was going on.
So your reaction to this, hey, this is hard, was that sort of starting to get a bit of a spiral?
The more I tried, the harder I tried, the worse it became.
Do you think there's people listening to this right now in real estate will know exactly what you're talking about?
100%.
Yeah.
The great thing about what you and I are doing now, we have been at every single stage of anyone who is listening to this in their career. We have been there.
Yeah.
We have been at a rookie. We've done okay. We've done badly.
Yeah.
We have, performed to the highest level, and we've gone from being in sales roles into leadership roles. So we've covered the gambit, right, of this real estate journey. So wherever they are, we've been there. But the experience of sitting back and having to be so humble about having not earned anything and having a $40,000 overdraft was just excruciating. Terrifying, embarrassing. My boss called me into the office. He said, what the hell's going on? I know you're working. He said, but, if you can't start selling some property and earning some income, you're going to have to leave. I was like,
right.
Holy heck. I do not want to leave this office. This is one of the top offices in Barfoot Thompson. Barfoot Thompson is the biggest agency in Auckland, and therefore Auckland, the biggest city in New Zealand, the biggest in New Zealand, probably easily by far. So here I am sitting in this office full of rock stars, great manager, great location, tick, 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 and I am not performing. And I might lose my job.
Your world is crumbling down around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And so it couldn't have got much worse after that conversation.
So your world's crumbling down. You're in a great office. You've got great people around you. Other people are doing okay, but Sandra Forrester's not doing okay.
Yeah, there's people still writing really good business.
And at that point, did you think about throwing the towel in? Was that?
Oh, absolutely. I was like, I'm not going to be able to continue to do this. Not only was it that I had been told that if you don't start, writing some commission and doing some sales, you're going to have to leave. Not only that, I needed extra income to support help pay the mortgage, help pay the groceries, help, survive. So I needed to do something. It was desperate. And that was December 2008.
So this is pivotal, right? This is quite a pivotal moment for Sandra Forrester because you were ready to throw the towel in and you didn't. Why not?
So we have some really good friends who own a beach house in Whangamata, which is down on the Coromandel Peninsula and in New Zealand. And they invited us down there because they knew that things weren't great. So we went down there for Christmas and New Year. And one day, while I was feeling particularly sorry for myself, I was wandering around the shops in Whangamata. And there's a very famous junk shop down there that everyone goes into. And I wandered into it and, typical junk shop, racks of clothes and jigsaw puzzles and books everywhere. And on top of, there were stacks of books. And on top of one of the stacks, I saw a book that I had heard of, but I had never read. And I picked it up. And it was 50 cents, which was about all I could afford. And I bought the book. And that afternoon, I went down and sat on the beach and I read the book. It is a very short book. It's not long, so I'm not a speed reader. It's only probably about 100 pages, right? And so I read the book. And when I got to the end of the book, I was like, that's interesting. But the last line of the book said, now that you've read the book, read it again. So the next day, I read it again. And then the next day after that, I read it again. So I read it 3 times in 3 days. And I decided that I had absolutely nothing to lose, that I was going to apply the principles of this book to my life and my real estate career. And if nothing happened within 90 days, I was going to have to leave real estate.
So before we go any further, we've teased the audience long enough. What was the name of the book?
Mind Power by John Kehoe.
Mind Power by John Kehoe. Is that an old book or?
It is an old book. I mean, this book I was reading was a copy from the 1980s. And I've still got that book. I forgot to bring it with me today, but I've still got the book, and it is pivotal. One of the reasons why I wrote a book is because I think books can change lives, and that book changed my life.
What was it when you, in Whangamata, a beach suburb, you're going for a walk, you're going to the junk shop, what was it about that book that drew you to it?
I have no clue.
Right.
It was like the universe was just going, that book there, that's the book, pick it up, read it. I have no clue why that book.
And you were open to it.
Because I'd heard of the book. I'd never bothered to read it before. So I just decided, you know what? Okay, I'll read it.
So,
I'd never read a self-help book in my life up until that day. Never.
So you're reading the book, then you're reading it again, you're on holiday in Whangamata, and you're thinking, is that when it became clear that you were going to give this thing a last chance? Because I had never been exposed to any of these skills and techniques in this book before, I was like, okay, this is going to be a steep learning curve. And the book said you need 90 days to change habits from this to this. Right.
You need to give yourself 90 days. Some people can make significant change really quickly, but research tells us it takes 90 days. So I was like, okay, 90 days. And there were some key things that the book said that I had to do. And the first thing that it said I had to do was I had to set a goal. Now, I'd never set a goal in my life. Never. So goals, don't be ridiculous. I was a Westie. Westies don't set goals.
What was your first goal?
So I knew that I had to earn money. So that's what I had to focus on. And I was going to be laser focused. I was not going to be trying to, save the world and do anything else other than stick to this one goal. So I said, okay, my goal is to earn $100,000 in gross commission in this 3-month period. Now, I had earned nothing in the previous 12 months. And now I'm saying I'm going to earn 100 in 3 months.
You're going to earn $100,000, so you're going to sell houses.
I was going to bring in 100,000 of gross commission.
Yep.
I was going to have to sell enough houses for me to have written 100,000 in gross commission in 3 months.
Into the company. And out of that, you'd get 30-something after tax and everything.
After tax.
And this is in a 3-month period.
Correct.
And you thought, right, this is my goal. This is what I'm going to do.
That's my goal. So I had to set a goal.
Right.
That was the first thing. So, and that is actually not as easy as you think. I actually found that really hard.
Yeah.
Setting the goal, I found really, really hard.
I know, sorry to interrupt, but I know you've quoted Oprah Winfrey, and she says something about that is actually that being, you must have that clarity of.
Yep.
And that's what you actually did. Without knowing it, you read the book, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and look, now that I've been doing this for such a long time, what this book says, Mind Power, is repeated in so many other books.
Right.
And in so many podcasts, and so many people are all saying the same thing. And it's all true that, when you become laser focused on something and you align all the things that you need to align together to focus on that, whatever it is that you want to achieve, it essentially can't not happen as long as you do the process. The process is really important. So I had to learn how to rethink as well. I had to reprogram my brain because I had all these limiting beliefs about real estate. Real estate's hard. Income is up and down. Good month, bad month. I'll go for that listing, but I probably won't get it.
So you're clearing that out of your head. You're actually clearing that out of your head, right?
Yep. So one of the skills that you learn is called weeding the garden.
Right.
Right. And so you can either have weeds in the garden, the negative thoughts about real estate, for me personally, those things I just mentioned, or you can plant the garden with things that are going to give you the result that you want to see. I am enormously successful at this. Every day my phone rings with people who want me to list their property. Every day I have buyers calling who are interested.
So this is what you're thinking.
This is what I had to start thinking.
Right.
It wasn't true.
Right. Got it.
I had to plant the garden with the things I wanted to happen and not think about those things and speak about those things and take action on those things and not be focused on all the shit that was going on, essentially.
So what I'm hearing here is the garden's like your brain. What you can control what you think about, and you are choosing to remove the weeds, and you're choosing to plant. You're just not letting those other thoughts get in.
Correct.
Right.
So this is one of the most fundamental things that I've learned, and sometimes it's the only thing that you have real control over in your entire life. Sometimes is your thoughts.
Right.
You have control over them. No one else can think for you. People can influence your thoughts, but you are in control of them.
So you were taking control of your thoughts for the first time.
And I never knew that I had the power to do that.
Right.
And the book taught me that.
Isn't it funny? Because doesn't it seem like, well, yes, of course you do, but actually why have I never done it? And why do we let it happen?
I mean, this should be taught in school.
Yeah.
Kids should learn about this.
This is fundamental. So you started, I guess I'm thinking about the weeds that were going in your brain. I'm thinking about the previous 12 months where you hadn't earned anything. There's weeds getting in there, right?
Oh, big weeds.
Big
and
time.
they're still there, right?
Yeah, right,
they're still,
okay.
Like January 2009 when I had to start doing this work, those weeds are still there.
Right.
Big time. But every day I have to, and I would have this thing, I'd put my hand to my head. Every time a thought came into my head that I knew was a weed, I'd have to go, get out.
Right.
You don't live here anymore. Get out. Get out. Get out.
You still get them today, do you?
Delete.
Do you still get do you still do that process today? You do?
Of course.
Wow. Okay.
I still practice everything that I started doing.
Okay.
I still do it today.
So
you're
weeding.
As soon as I would get a weed out, I would put the one in that I wanted.
The plant. Can you give me an example of what you might have used back then?
Of course, just that real estate is hard.
Right.
Real estate is so easy. I am so successful at real estate.
Yep.
And every day, great things are happening. So the other thing, I learned about setting goals, about weeding the garden and getting out the old beliefs and putting in the new beliefs. But one of the other things that you learn is, for me, because I'm a talker, is affirmations.
Okay.
And so affirmations have been one of my best friends. Like, I am a big affirmation person, and anyone who knows, and I talk about this in my book, I walk every single morning, and that's when I do my affirmations.
What's an affirmation?
So an affirmation is and some people call them incantations, but I call them affirmations, is where you are putting out to the universe what it is that you want to have come back to you. So one of my affirmations that I had, which when I kicked this whole thing off, was, I am a strong, confident woman. All good things come to me and I have success. Now, I wasn't strong. I wasn't confident. I had no success. And really, nothing good was happening. Good was coming to me at all.
How often would you say that affirmation?
Every day.
What, once in the morning or?
Every morning while I was out walking, I would say that 3 times. That one 3 times. I had like a list of 10.
Okay.
And so I would say, I'm a strong, confident woman. All good things come to me and I have success. I'm a strong, confident woman. And when a weed come up, that would be, you know what, you're just not going to be any good at this. I was like, no.
Okay.
No, I'm a strong, confident woman. All good things come to me. I have success. You know.
So you'd be saying it as when you were in the walk in the morning, but also through the day. If a weed come in, you'd say this. You'd pop it out.
When I was, because for me, I had to take when I was like trying to get those limiting thoughts out of my mind. I had to put in what I wanted to show up. So that particular thought had to go. This one has to come in. So. Yeah, it was.
So you're ready for the weed, right? You're ready for it.
Yeah, I know how to manage it now.
Right. So
I learned how to manage it.
And you recognise it when it happens. Yeah. That's a big thing, isn't it?
So this is something I'd love so young people to understand. Like, you know, the amount of young people I hear, and it drives me crazy, say, oh, I've got anxiety. And so it is.
Yeah.
Abracadabra.
That's a weed.
I am suffering from anxiety.
Okay.
Okay, then. There you go. Abracadabra, there it is, anxiety.
Right. Because you
say it, think it in your head, and you say it to your friends. Oh God, I've had such an anxious day today.
So
really?
What would you do in that? What would you recommend they do in that when that happens? They have
to stop saying, I am suffering from anxiety, because what the universe hears is, I am suffering from anxiety. So let's give you some suffering from anxiety then, shall we? Let's just manifest anxiety.
So what do you do?
They start having anxiety.
So what does Sandra Forrester do then at that point?
Just go back to the basics. Right back to the basics. I am strong. I am strong, and I am strong, confident woman.
Love it.
Man, that is a super powerful affirmation.
That is great.
And it can be anything.
Yep.
Right? It can be, what is the opposite of anxiety? Okay, the opposite to anxiety from my point of view is happiness.
Right.
Every day, I am surrounded by happiness and joy in my life.
Is it gratitude part of this as well?
Big time.
Yep.
Big time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and be grateful for feeling happy.
Yeah.
Be grateful for feeling happy, even though you may not be feeling happiness at the moment because you're still suffering from anxiety. You have to get rid of the anxiety talk, and you have to put in the happiness and the joy and you're so lucky that you have family and friends around you.
So back to Whangamata.
Yeah.
Day 1 of 90. When you started doing this for the first time, did you feel like this is different? Did you feel different?
I felt weird. This was the weirdest thing. Like, I had nothing to lose, right?
Yeah.
Because things were bad. So I had nothing to lose. So I was like, I got to just do this. I just got to get on with it. So I would be walking the dog in the morning, saying my affirmations out loud while I'm walking along Mount Albert Road. And people would be looking at, because this was in the days, there wasn't nice, tiny little earbuds, right? So she's obviously talking to herself. So
poor lady.
Yeah. And because one of the things that you learn, that the more emotion you put into your affirmations, the quicker it starts to happen, right? So I would be, I am a strong, confident woman. Every day my phone rings with people who want me to list their house. Like, I would be throwing my arms around. And
Can I ask, when you were saying that, did you believe it in your heart, or did you think?
I began to really quickly,
but
actually.
At the start?
No,
I mean, you just pushed through that.
And you know what? It doesn't matter if you don't believe it, because the universe hears it and they're going to start bringing back to you what it is that you need. Don't worry about not believing it. I began to, but I didn't at the beginning.
Okay.
And I'm a card carrying fan of the universe. It's given me everything. Like, what I've achieved, but these people don't know.
They don't.
But everything that has happened to me has been planned, has been a goal set, and has been achieved. Every single thing.
So let's talk about that 90 days. What day are we up to here? Day 5 out of 90. What's happening?
Set the goal, set up my affirmations,
Yep.
and I started to do visualization as well. So I was doing affirmations in the morning and visualization at night.
Visualization.
So, visualization. So I'd sit there and I'd see my phone ringing with, someone ringing up saying, oh, we've heard about you. We'd like you to come and list
So
our property.
you're dreaming this. You're thinking that you
I'm
actually see
seeing
yourself
it
doing
in my mind like a movie. Just like a movie.
So you do that in the evening. So
I would do that in the evenings.
So that was sort of a graduation, was it? That was an increase, 5 days, 10 days, 15 days?
No, I started right from the get-go.
Visualisations
I
and
read the book 3
visualisations.
times. It said you've got to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
These 5 things.
Okay.
Right? So I was like, okay, let's do it.
When
Let's
did
go.
you start to notice success?
30 days in,
Yeah.
I sold my first house.
Right.
30 days. After 30, I took a buyer to a property. I was like, I'm not sure whether she's going to like it or not, but let's go. And I remember everything about it. I remember
30
the
days
address.
is a long time
30 days
without
of doing
success.
No, 30 days is nothing.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
People expect it's not.
Yeah.
Things don't just happen because you start doing something today, tomorrow, a week, 5 days. It doesn't just happen. You have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things, and I've written it down in like 5 different ways on my notes here today. Discipline of the daily work is everything.
Right.
When you know that you are doing the right things
Yes.
and doing them consistently
Yep.
every single day, the cumulative effect of that work is what will show up. And it might not show up today, tomorrow, or next week, but for me, it showed up 30 days in.
Right. Okay. So hang in there. Just be quite determined.
As long as you're doing the right things.
And one of the words you said before that I really liked was laser focused. I mean, you were
Laser.
You were seriously focused.
Didn't even go for coffee.
So you've got back from Whangamata. You're going to work now, but something's changed.
Yeah.
Right. You've got
Absolutely. So
right.
the first month, I was laser focused on making sure that I was doing my affirmations, my visualization, I was weeding the garden, and I was getting on the phone and talking to people.
Was there just an underlying confidence in you that this was going to work? Was there a change?
I had no belief at that stage.
Right.
None.
Okay.
None. The belief didn't happen until that day that I took that woman to the house.
Day 30.
Because, you see, I committed to 90 days.
Yes.
So I was all in for 90 days.
Yep.
If nothing changes, I'm out.
So when you sold the house at 30,
Yeah.
what happened then?
I was like, I can't believe it. I knew it was not a coincidence. I just knew it. In my bones, I knew that this was not a coincidence. That the work that I was doing, I was on the right pathway. That something as soon as that deal went unconditional, it was in those days we wrote up unconditional offers just like that. We don't do that very much anymore. But as soon as I wrote up the deal and it got signed off that night, I was like, I knew it. I just knew it was not a coincidence. I knew I was onto something. And then I was really like, whoa,
Right.
let's go.
Okay.
Let's go.
Right,
I've
so that just
done
fueled the fire,
sale,
right?
one sale,
Yes, yeah. And so the next 30 days, how did they look?
So I started to be like, okay, I really need to up my prospecting and my talking to people.
So you turned up the volume.
I turned up the volume. So I was like, I knew, because this is what the book taught me, that it's all about what you think about, what you speak about, and what you take action on.
Right.
You can't just do the affirmations and, think the right thoughts and then sit on the couch all day. It is not going to happen. You literally have to take action. You have to be in the game every single day.
Yeah.
And on the phone talking to people. And real estate is all about being on the phone talking to people.
Right.
The more you talk to people, the more properties you sell.
So you've sold the first one, you're high-fiving.
Yeah.
What does the next 30
on
days
the phone
look like?
talking to people.
And were you getting success then? Was that followed shortly thereafter by more success?
So then I got a call from a friend who wanted me to list their house.
Wow.
Yeah.
They
so
called
will
you.
you come and list the house?
And
I was like,
that's someone
100%.
you'd been speaking to previously?
Someone who'd been on my database.
Right.
Said, yep, we're going to sell.
Yep.
So went round there, listed their house, got it up on the market, sold it, bang.
And when you listed that house that time versus when you'd listed houses before, was there a difference in Sandra Forrester?
I was
that
changing by the week.
Right.
I was changing by the week because when you are doing this work, right, there's something that's fundamentally changes about you.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not thinking those thoughts anymore. You're actually thinking the thoughts you should be thinking.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was starting to get my mojo back. My confidence was coming back. Once I'd done that sale, I felt like I was bang on the right pathway.
Do you think others could see that in you? Could they see that
I think that
energy?
is an energy that people feel. And so you've got to be super mindful of the energy that you bring to the room when you're walking into it.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always used to say to people, this is, when I was, really like on my game and, number one in the branch and all that sort of stuff, I would be sitting at a listing presentation and say, at the end of the presentation, I'd go, look, I know that you're probably going to see other people, but let me tell you, there is no one who's going to do a better job than me. And if you find somebody else who you think is going to do a better job than me, then you should employ them.
Well, that's confidence, right? That's
and
massive
confidence. And that was
confidence.
just a game changer,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
As soon as they heard that, if you think there's someone better than me, you go with them.
That's very
I had like a 98% hit rate. I hardly missed a listing.
So Sandra Forrester is becoming a brand. Now, you've been in the industry 5-6 years or so. You've done okay, but within that 90 days, did your trajectory start to move?
All of a sudden, things just started to happen.
Right.
I listed a friend's house. I sold that. I got another listing from that. I listed that. I sold that. And it was by this time, I was like, I knew this was like, I am back.
Right.
I'm on.
Love it.
And I understand now how this works. It was like all these dominoes were falling into place.
Yeah.
And so it was March 2009, and I knew that I had earned probably by that stage about maybe 80, I can't remember what the figures are, 85, 90,000 GCI. Like I've been listing and selling houses. So I knew I only had to do one more to get to the 100. And I was like, okay, one more. And I was working some buyers, and I took a buyer to a property, and they said, yep, we're going to make an offer, made an offer. And I think after that 90 days, I think I did 105,000 in gross commission. So I met the target.
So, wow. So there's a light switch that's gone on here.
Oh, big time.
Right. What happened post 90 days?
So I went and sat down with my boss. He was like, what the hell is going on? You've gone from nothing to like selling all these houses, and you've written all this commission. And I was like, you know what? I've changed my mindset. I've changed everything about how I was thinking about this industry. And, you think that was good? You wait.
Wait and see. Can I ask that, was there times even after you finding this that you got pulled down? Was there stuff where you...
Oh, look, I think everybody has moments where they're probably, feeling a little bit of down or blues or whatever people
What would
call
you do
it.
then?
Look, I think it's really important to actually, get outside and exercise. Like, don't stay in that moment for too long.
Right.
And I say this to my team, I'm going to give you, 15, 20 minutes maybe to feel sorry for yourself if you missed a listing or something bad happened. And then move on.
Move on.
Don't dwell on it, because that energy is not good for you.
Right.
That's bad energy.
Yep.
You want to be feeling, acknowledge. Yes, you can have 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Some people say have a day. I think a day's too long. Day's far too long to feel sorry for yourself. Get up, figure out what went wrong, try not to do that again, and move on.
And tell me about how quickly did you move to being number one in the branch?
So that year I decided that I was going to do 300, I think. If I can do 100 in 3 months, I can do 300. Because you've got to remember, I still had 3 kids. So I knew that I wasn't going to be able to put, 100% effort in, and I need to have all the holidays off and, 2 months off over summer. So I said, like, if I can do 300, if I can do 133 months, I can do 300. So I was like, okay, new goal. Let's go. And at the end of that year, I wasn't number one in the office, but I had done I think I was like number 2 or number 3 in the, and this was an office full of rock stars, right? Big performers at Barfoot and Thompson. But something happened during that year, which I always remember, and I love telling this story because one of the people in the office who was really good, and I think she was number 1 at the time, she used to come to work every day in suits.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this whole suit thing.
Right.
You know, she's number 1. I'm going to try this whole suit thing.
Yeah.
So I went off to St. Luke's and went to Portman's, and I bought 2 suits exactly the same.
Yeah.
Right. So I could just rotate them. And because I'm not a big clothes person, so I was like, okay, simple, easy, started and went to work the next day in one of my suits, and I went to the girls at the front desk and I said, I am starting to wear suits to work. I'm sorry you're going to see me in the same suit every day. I've got 2 of them, so they are being cleaned. Don't worry. I said, but I'm just going to wear the same thing every day. I'm just letting you know.
Right.
And they were like, okay, whatever, Sandra, you know, funny.
So did that just push you even further?
As soon as I started wearing the suits, the business just went bonkers.
Right.
People started to see me completely differently because I was fronting up in a suit every day.
Yep.
It was incredible.
Right.
The change that happened.
Right.
I probably behaved slightly differently as well.
Yeah.
But I wore heels every day and suits every day.
Dress for success.
I was suited and booted. I mean, if you're going to the lawyer, right, and the lawyer turns up in, you know, chinos and an open neck shirt and, you know, jandals, I'm sorry. This is, you know, we're here to do business. I'm paying you $500 an hour. Come on.
What do you think about, you know, so what do you think about the current generation of real estate agents and the way they dress? Do you have an opinion about that? Do you see?
Yeah, I really would like them to up the ante, some
right.
of them. I mean, some of them do, right?
Yeah.
Some, my team that I've got are pretty good. There's a couple that, you know, come in every now and then in jeans and I'm like, you know, come on, guys.
Yeah.
But my team are pretty good. But sometimes I see agents in the auction rooms or, you know, out in the industry, and I'm like, that is just so not appropriate.
Yeah, yeah.
What is it? What's the message?
Yeah.
You know, to me, you should be reflecting the kind of person who is selling somebody's biggest asset, and that you're taking this industry seriously.
So you've just supercharged with that, and you got there's some wonderful photographs in the book that you've got actually of you accepting prizes as because you were number 1 in the Mount Eden branch.
Yeah.
So
that happened the following year.
Right.
So the following year, I was like, okay, 500. I got the 300. Like, long story short, read the book. I mean, got to the 300. You know, Ian, my boss, is just going, I just can't believe what's going on. And I was working by myself. I was not in a team. I did not have a PA. It was just me on my own. And then the following year, I was like, you know what? Let's just do 500. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, it flew into 500, no problem at all. And then I was number 1 in the office. And not only that, I was in the top 25 in the whole company. So I went from being no one in what we call the alphabeticals, which means you've sold nothing and you're ranked alphabetically in the company, and to being in the top 25 in just 2 years. And so that's, that's kind of unheard of, really.
So you've got, right, so we've got success as a real estate agent, then leadership and management knocked on the door. Yeah. How did that happen, and why did that happen? Were you after something more? Was it?
I've been applying for branch manager jobs,
why?
Sort of on and off, because I'd come from a leadership role at Nestle, and I was like, you know what, I can do that. And to be fair to the directors, they were probably right, not giving me one of the 6 jobs I applied for before I got the 7th job. I probably wasn't ready. Yeah.
But why did you want? Was it a want in you to go?
Look, you know, being a branch manager at Barfoot and Thompson was hugely, you know, prestigious. Yeah. And I felt like it was something that I could give back to other people. What I had learned in that last 2 years, I was like, man, if I can get a whole bunch of people doing this, then, wow, the sky's the limit.
Right. So you really wanted to share your success with others. Right.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I could have stayed selling real estate and probably made more money. It was not about money. Yeah. I mean, I probably earned less, to be perfectly honest with you. Right. But I really felt like I had something to offer.
Yeah, wow. And so you eventually got Milford branch?
I did. Yeah.
Deep end? Is that throwing
Deep end is like an understatement.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the first couple of weeks at Milford branch were just a horror show. I was, a person from the central.
Yeah.
Sold everything by auction, went to the North Shore, and they didn't do auctions. They didn't believe in auctions.
Right.
And auctions don't work on the North Shore, Sandra. And I was like, you sell houses, don't you? So what's the difference?
So
I'm now a square in a round hole, or whatever the term is,
Okay.
I'm on the North Shore. I am the opposite to everything that they do.
Right. And you wanted to change that.
I was like, guys, come on the journey.
Right.
Come on the journey. And it took a couple of months. And the number one person in the office, who was also the number one person in the company at that time,
right.
Did not get the job.
Right.
Had a massive tantrum.
So was competing with you for the position.
Had been competing, which I didn't know anything about.
Yep.
He was not happy about it
right.
at all.
Yeah.
And undermined me at every point and every stage, at every moment that he could in front of the team. And in the end, it was, he then, long story short, he decided to leave.
Okay.
And so I lost the highest turnover person in the whole company who was working at the branch, I think in week 3.
Right.
Gone. I was like, oh, my God. Oh, my God. This place is crazy. And really, you get given the keys and you're sort of, here you go. You're on your own, essentially. I mean, not completely, but essentially.
Yeah.
So I was really like, wow, I really have to throw myself at this. And so, but I knew, you see, I had a roadmap, and the roadmap was set the goals.
Yeah, right.
Figure out what you're gonna have to do. Create the visuals of what it is that you need to do now as a branch manager. And I had come from working for Ian Gray, who was one of the best in the industry, right? So one of the things that I learned in this journey of being in that 2-year journey was find somebody who's already successful. Just copy them.
Right. Okay, cool.
Just copy them, because the wheel's already been invented.
Yes.
No matter what industry you're in.
Yeah.
Find somebody who's already successful.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be an athlete, find someone who's a professional athlete doing whatever it is, triathlons. Figure out what they're doing. What's their training regime? Where do they go? How did they start? Go and copy them, because they've already started. They already know.
So you observed Ian's technique?
I had been observing Ian for 2 years. Well, more than that. 4 years. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to do what Ian does.
Which was
get alongside people, and what do you need? What is it that I can do to help you? And we had to, and to me, I only wanted people working there who were nice, good, kind people.
Okay.
I mean, people, yes, have got good professionalism and skills. I can train for skills and techniques and help them with databases. But if they're not nice people, fundamentally good people, then I'm not sure that I want them.
Right.
And a couple of those people showed up pretty quickly, not long after I started, and they left as well.
Right. So the office changed.
Oh, 100%.
And you were applying the same I'm not saying it was 90 days, but the same principles you used in those 90 days.
It took more than 90 days.
Right.
It was more like about 6 months.
Sure. But you used the same techniques.
Absolutely.
A goal, and affirmations.
Yep.
You were doing all that through there.
Yep.
What was sort of some of the things you were saying to yourself back then?
I said to the team, I think on week 5 or 6, that Milford branch was going to be one of the jewels in the crown of the North Shore. And it's going to take us 2 years, but we're going to get there.
Right.
And you're going to be working for one of the top performing offices on the North Shore.
Wow.
And that's, and I always said to them, Milford branch is the jewel in the crown on the North Shore.
Love it.
And
they bought into it.
They totally did.
Yeah. You were leading.
Within 2 years we were.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It was a massive turnaround what happened at Milford branch. But the people just bought into the whole, the dream of what we were trying to achieve at Milford, which was converting everybody into auction listers.
Yeah.
Because I knew that was going to earn them more, money, and I wanted them to increase their turnover so they could have more of a life, give them more profile, get their databases up and running. I wrote all their newsletters. I did everything for them.
So you shared your vision quite clearly. You had a clear vision, but not only did you have the vision, you shared that with your team.
Absolutely.
And you shared that regularly. They were aware of it.
Absolutely.
How often would you share the vision? Every Tuesday meeting or every
Probably
week?
not every Tuesday meeting.
Right.
But, we would have fun events, or we would have training days. Like I would often bring them all in for a training session, mainly on how to sell by auction.
Yeah.
And how to create databases and how to do prospecting. And it only really took a couple of people, to be perfectly honest. Kerry and April were fantastic. They would do prospecting, and then they would start telling people, because this is what happens when you prospect, that they picked up a listing because they were on the phone talking to people.
Right.
They picked up a listing because they sent out a newsletter, and somebody rang to say, I got your newsletter and we are thinking of selling. And so, of course, it's like a domino effect again. One agent's seeing success in doing something, all the other agents now want that as well.
You then went on, you brought Milford from what to what? From what
28
number?
to 12.
28th in the company of how many?
I think we're about 50 branches then.
To 12th in the company.
Yeah.
And then you had an opportunity at another branch.
Yeah, my God. I mean, I just did not want to apply for City Branch.
Right.
I did not. I was phoned by, someone in the company to say, would you apply for City Branch? I was like, no. Why would I go backwards? I've just spent 2 years building Milford Branch from 28 to 12. We're just about to head into the top 10 and, creating the jewel in the crown on the North Shore. Why would I go backwards to number 36 in the company? And why do you want me to go backwards?
And why did you?
Oh, to be honest, I did the research, and it took me sort of 3 or 4 days, and I really researched what is it that City Branch is all about. It was all about apartments. It had a good property management portfolio. I knew that was important. That was a big swing for me, the property management. But I had this feeling that the apartment market was about to take off, and that there was an opportunity that was probably going to happen, because you got to remember we're now 3 years post the GFC, and when you look at the cycle, the property cycle, there was about to be a boom.
Were you after a challenge? Did you hunger a challenge?
I don't mind the challenge. I have had people say to me, Sandra, you love the challenge, come on.
Right.
I don't mind the challenge because I've got a lot of bravery inside me, so I don't mind the challenge. It was more that I really wanted to kind of get back over onto the city side again.
Yeah. Back to your hood.
Back to the hood.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I rang this person back after 3 or 4 days and said, okay, look, I'll come in for an interview. I want to interview you guys to find out why is it that you think I would be successful at City Branch? So it wasn't them interviewing me, it was me interviewing them.
You're being chased.
I wanted them to tell me what is it. This wasn't with the directors at this stage. This was just with some of the senior leadership people. So I went in there and they showed me the P&L, and they showed me, which wasn't great, and showed me, how the business ran. And I could see that the like I said before, the big opportunity was in property management. I could see it was being quite badly run, and that I understood, after 2 years at Milford, I understood how P&Ls worked. And so I was like, wow.
There's an opportunity here.
There is an opportunity. I said, look, okay, I'm okay. If you want to put me through for a second interview with the directors, then that's fine.
They wanted you more than you wanted them.
I don't know why, to be perfectly honest. I don't know why they thought that I was the right person for that job. Because when I went to Milford, they all said, we thought it would be a man. When I went to City, they thought it would be a man. I mean, what the hell, guys? Why does it have to be a man?
Exactly. So, but they were right though, weren't they, when they said they wanted you for the job? In retrospect, they were right in getting you in there.
They were right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when Peter rang me to say you've got the job, I was like, oh, shit.
Peter Thompson, Managing Director.
Peter Thompson, Managing Director of Barfoot Thompson. And I hung up. I was like, oh, my God, what am I doing, I've just spent 2 years, blood and guts. Now I've got to walk away from that team and start a whole new team. and a much harder situation because they're 36. And that's 36 in the rankings. That's 36. Not great. That's low because there's only 50 odd branches at that stage.
Did you apply the same thing you did? Because where did that go? Where did 36 City Branch go?
It took off like a rocket. It took off like a rocket. It was just crazy stuff. It just went bonkers. Yeah.
Why?
Look, I restructured property management really quickly, got in somebody who was just awesome, and her and I have been working on property management together ever since. She's been with me for 10 years, Tracy Boyle. And we quickly worked that out, that we had some people in there who needed to be moved on, got that sorted, got it working more profitably, got rid of a whole lot of stock. We had so much stock in there that was just absolute rubbish. So we went from 550 down to 480 managements in the first 6 months.
These are properties that you're managing that are being rented out, and you dropped down.
And we dropped down to around 480. We got from 550, right. 550, 560. We just cleared out a whole lot of stock.
Right.
And we started building from there.
Did you remove the weeds? Is that sort of where
we got rid of a whole lot of weeds. And then started recruiting on the sales side.
How do you recruit?
That was really kind of, it was word of mouth. It was anyone who wants to come into real estate. Al's my sales manager then. We started what we called the rookie school. If you're a rookie and you want to come into real estate, come and join us. We've got a rookie school going on here.
Right.
So we got lots of rookies.
Great. And was that traditional in the company at that time? No. Rookies generally weren't welcome?
No. Right. Ian Gray never took rookies.
Right.
At Mount Eden, if you were a rookie,
no
way. Come to me when you've been in real estate for 5 years.
So you were training people straight out of school?
Straight out of
real estate school?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, we had this whole rookie school. We had a rookie area at the branch. The rookies were, and Al's spent a huge amount of time training up rookies.
Right. Okay. So there was an environment for them. You were looking after them. Yeah.
So,
and from number 30, what numbers?
36.
In the company, where did you get to?
Number one.
To number one in the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's not easy. I'm not tooting my own horn, but it's a team effort. But man, that's not easy.
Was that a gradual, or how long did that take?
It took us 4 years.
And why did you? What happened? What? You probably can't. It's probably not one thing, is it? But
it's a combination of all sorts of things. It really was a massive, big team effort. But it nearly killed me getting to number one. I was so determined.
Right.
My affirmations, my visualization. When I was number one and I got up on the stage, I was just like,
you've done it.
Relief.
You were so determined. I'm hearing laser focused in there as well. Was it the same sort of thinking or mindset that you used when you were 40K under and that you needed to get?
Yeah.
Was it the same thing?
As I'd been going along, I've been learning more and more skills about how to be a leader, how to, encourage people to write more commission, how to attract people who were, wanting to come into real estate who are really good. So my skills were improving over time. So their skills were improving, my skills were improving. So it was this cumulative effect. Property management was growing. I mean, Tracy and I about 4 months ago sat down and looked. Since she started 10 years ago, we have had a net gain of around 50 to 55 per year every year. Right. We are about to hit 1,000 managements.
Wow.
So that's a net gain. So because you're always losing, right? So you've got to replace those and then gain.
Yeah.
So net gain of around 50. Every single year.
So you did Tracy have the same focus as you?
Absolutely.
You've got goals together.
Absolutely.
That you share.
Tracy's been instrumental.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Couldn't have done it without Tracy. So that branch went to number one with 3 women in leadership roles. So much for those should have been a man.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm a bloke, but hats off, hats off. So, seeing you, number one, I have to agree that, as I said at the start, you call a spade a spade. You're definitely not politically correct. And it's just so welcome, I think, in a sometimes in an environment we live in 2024 where people are thinking stuff, but they're not saying it, but not Sandra Forrester, which is such a... It's just such a breath of fresh air. So there's massive success changing from rock bottom. I'm just going to ask one question about that. Did it take a rock bottom to make for you?
Yes. For me, it did. I had to get to rock bottom.
Does it have to for people? Do people need to have that?
I sometimes wonder whether it does need to happen.
Right.
You know, that people need to really get to a point where something has to change.
Right.
I just cannot do it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't be this person. I can't deal with this. I can't, not earn any money. Something has to change. So for me, it was definitely rock bottom.
What's next? You've written a book.
I wrote a book. Yeah. So what happens? People say, why did you write the book? Let me tell you, writing a book is not easy.
Can we see the book?
And you are not going to earn any money from it. I did not write it for money, and I did not write it. Was not easy. It was really hard, and I'm a busy person.
So why?
So because I had so many people come to me and say, what did you do?
Yeah.
How did you do it?
Right.
And it's just not possible for me to have all these one-on-one conversations with people. So I was like, it was COVID. And we were spending time at home, and that's when the idea kind of came to me.
Okay.
That it's time to start, putting down what happened, what I did to change my life and create a career in real estate, which has been unbelievable, really. But also, I wrote it because I want other people to be able to see that it's possible for them as well.
Right.
What I did is possible for anyone.
Yeah.
And not just in a real estate career, but in any aspect of their life. It doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter what happened to you, doesn't matter what you've done before, doesn't matter, none of that matters.
So,
The only thing that matters is that you figure out what it is that you want in your life.
right.
Apply the skills and techniques that I've learned. It's like baking a cake.
Yeah.
Skills and techniques, the method, and here's the result. Apply the skills, and it can't not happen if you are consistent in the daily discipline.
Yeah.
Daily discipline is everything. So one of the things that I'm really focused on now is trying to build a brand around three things mainly.
Yeah.
Optimism,
Yeah.
because I really believe that the world is actually filled with kindness and beauty and opportunity and abundance.
Love it.
There are some people who think that the world is full of nutters, right? And negative people.
Yeah.
I believe the opposite.
Yeah.
Because I know how the mind works.
Yeah.
If you continue to believe that the world is going crazy
Yeah.
and it's full of nutcases and negativity, then abracadabra, that's what's
where you
going to
are.
show up.
So that's one. Positivity.
So optimism is the first thing. Number
Right.
2 is the discipline of the daily work.
Right.
Now, every single person that I have met who is successful understands that there are certain things that they have to do consistently every single day in order for that success to continue to show up. Now, there are some people who have huge success and then they drop off, and then they might come back again and have huge, and then they drop off, right? So that tells me that they're not disciplined in the daily work, because it's the daily work, it's the small steps every single day that gets you to where it is that you need or want to go. So discipline of the daily work, and that is in all aspects of your life, whether it be in your work life or your personal life, whether it be in your financial health, in your mental health, or your physical health, and in your social well-being as well. So discipline in doing all these things that are good for you every single day. And the last one is the impact and the importance of your thoughts and mindset. Like, that's the most important.
Right.
Well, that and the discipline of the daily work.
So optimism, discipline, and
Thoughts and mindset.
Thoughts and mindset.
That's like, those are the three things that, for me, if you can control all of those things, you can do pretty much anything.
Wow. Love it.
And
we got where to from here? You're pushing social media. You're getting into the social media side. The branding of this is the Sandra Forrester brand going further.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So look, I really believe that it's time for me to to start showing people and giving people the understanding that whatever it is that they want to do, whether it be a career in real estate if they want it, or whatever it is that they want to be able to do or achieve or have in their life, it's possible. And for me, that happened through a career in real estate. And, my career at Barfoot Thompson has just been phenomenal. I mean, it wasn't always. It was pretty okay, and then it was terrible, and then it became hugely successful. So, but there is no way I would have everything that I've got now without having a career in real estate. Yes, I did the work, but I've had the platform provided to me to have that success. And so, I really want to now show people that it's possible, and for people to take, and learn the opportunities are there. Every single day, the world is filled with opportunity and abundance.
Yeah.
And you just have to figure out what it is that you want and go out there and grab it. But it's not going to come to you if you're not prepared to put in the work.
Yeah.
It's the work and the work ethic and the discipline and the things that you bring to the table every single day that is going to get you there. Don't give up. Remember, 30 days. I was doing this work for 30 days before something happened. Most people give up after 5.
Yeah, right.
Go to the gym. I go for 2 weeks and then I stop. I don't look any different. It can't be working. Go for 6 months.
Yeah.
Last November, I decided that I wanted so every year I focus on something.
Right.
Personally.
Yep.
So last year I decided that this year, 2024, I was going to focus on my my personal health.
Right.
So I joined the gym, got a personal trainer, and had no clue. He started teaching me about food and about working out and about lifting weights, and and here I am 8-9 months later. I've lost 7 or 8 kg.
Brilliant.
I now go to the gym 4 days a week.
Right.
I'm a different person than what I was back in November last year.
Yep.
And I've applied the principles of the discipline of the daily work.
Yeah, right.
To my health and my fitness. So I am a walking testimonial to how that can change for you quite quickly, but it didn't happen in a month.
Yeah.
I'm now sort of 8-10 months in.
Right.
And so, but I now have these new habits that if I don't go to the gym, I actually feel bad.
Yeah.
And it's not like I want to go to the gym. 80% of the time, I do not want to go to the gym, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes even 90% of the time, I don't want to go to the gym. So the discipline is to ignore that and to go to the gym.
Yeah.
It's the same in real estate. Most people don't want to do telephone prospecting. They don't want to ring people and say, hi, how are you? Saw your house, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, most people don't want to do that. The discipline is to get on the phone and call 10 people every single day. Where
is Sandra Forrester in 10 years' time? What's she doing?
Well, like I said earlier, I do think that I will go back to selling when when I'm done with this whole, branch manager thing. I will probably go back to selling, but it won't be sort of full time. I'll probably only just work with people who I really like.
Your social media, you're pushing yourself on LinkedIn.
Yep.
Is that something that you think you're going to get into and grow?
I'm pushing myself on LinkedIn so that I can start to attract people who might want a career in real estate.
Right.
Because I really want people to have the same opportunity that I had.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking have thought about a career in real estate, it is an incredible career. It's incredible because you have everything is available to you. You work at your own pace and your own time. And I'm not saying it's easy. A lot of the top performers in this company and who work for me, they work extremely hard.
Yeah.
They really do. They are incredibly high performance people and they work really hard. So I'm not saying it's easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it is an incredible industry. And I would love people to be able to also, if real estate's not their career, Change Your Life, Power of a Focused Mind is a book that may change their life.
100%.
Because a book changed my life.
I was speaking to Marion Talich yesterday.
Yes.
Marion Talich is an auctioneer for Barfoot Thompson.
Yes.
I told her that I was going to be sitting down with you today.
Yes.
And she said, she's read your book and she loved it, and she is applying principles, and it's been fantastic for her. We probably need to wrap this up.
Yep.
But it's interesting. When I call this capturing energy, you're just buzzing the whole way through. It's just, you can see that being in the industry for 20 years, you're still really
so passionate about it.
Passion is so obvious. And one of the things I was thinking of is you actually give specifics that people can actually use. You don't just talk in an airy-fairy sort of way. You actually give people, I think people that listen to this today will break it down into chapters, and people can get your book and they can actually specifically use the stuff. And that's, you're so giving, Sandra. You give so much, and it's wonderful. It's just sort of been, I've really enjoyed today. It's inspiring, and I think the people that'll be listening will get a lot out of it. Have you got any last thoughts you wanted to share? Or
I guess the last thing I wanted, I wrote a little note before I came in here. The biggest thing for me is, no matter what, people need to understand that you have control of your life and your thoughts and your words and your actions every single day are what create your life. I did not know any of this until I read that book for 50 cents. No one taught me about it. No one had given me the roadmap or the pathway. I have read lots of books about it now, lots and lots. And I listen to podcasts, and and I'll just finish with this great story, which, I think is a great story. Most people don't know I'm a massive Formula One fan.
Yep.
So yes. I have traveled the world. I've been to Formula One races. My guy is Lewis Hamilton. I love him. And when he won his first world champion, he's a 7-time world champion. When he won his first world championship, he was in London, and he was invited to go to a event where Nelson Mandela was. And it was Nelson Mandela's birthday. And so he was invited to go along, and Lewis tells a story where he was just like, oh my God, I just so hope I get to talk to him. Anyway, he arrives at the event, and he is one of the few people who has been given the opportunity to go and sit down and talk to Nelson Mandela. And so he tells the story, and he says to him, look, I was just so overwhelmed. It was really hard for me to figure out what I was going to, talk to him about. And he said, I have a question for you. He said, after everything that has happened to you, what is the most important thing that you can tell me has had the most impact? And Nelson Mandela said to him that I have, and I always try to get people to understand, they need to be a lifelong learner. And that had a lot of impact on me, because I think back to, if I hadn't picked up a book and read it and applied the principles and learnt about all this stuff, I would not be where I am today. I would not have anything like the success that I've had and the journey that I've been on. And I am still learning about this stuff. I still listen to podcasts. I still, I don't doom scroll. I'm on, motivational stuff. I'm learning. Be a lifelong learner. Don't just stop, If you leave school or you leave university, be a lifelong learner.
Love it. What a great way to end that. That's fantastic. I think a lot of people will be learning from today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. You're an inspiration. I'd like to think you're a good friend, and very much on the same page, and this has been wonderful, and I know a lot of people get out of it. The book, Change Your Life, pop it up there. Let's give it a plug.
Yeah, another little plug. Change Your Life, Power of a Focused Mind by Sandra Forrestor.
So easy to read, highly recommend it.
And if anyone is looking for me, just Google me, because Sandra Forrester, Barfoot and Thompson, you'll find me. Great. Email address is there and phone number.
Thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome. Thank you.